National League Baseball is witnessing a dramatic and rapid shift in the balance of power within the division, redefining the landscape of the final stretch of the season. The Chicago Cubs, once considered a franchise at risk of wasting an entire season after reaching a .500 record at 34-34 in mid-June, have shifted into an relentless gear. This surge not only threatens the Milwaukee Brewers' lead in the NL Central, but also puts the team back into the race for the best record in the entire league. The recent offensive explosion, highlighted by historic individual performances, is setting the pace for baseball in August. However, the team's overwhelming success at the plate is masking an intricate tactical chess match on the mound. This report will break down the exact moves that brought the team to a 71-50 record, the profound impact these performances are having on the league market, and the critical rotation decisions the front office will have to make in the coming hours to ensure dominance in October. The news dominating the baseball world is Alex Bregman's spectacular performance in the nation's capital. In a surgical performance against the Washington Nationals, the veteran crushed 3 home runs and drove in an impressive 7 runs. His performance caps off a devastating stretch. Over his last 22 games since the series against the Minnesota Twins, Bregman is hitting .370 with 7 home runs and 8 doubles. Powered by that production, the Cubs have gone 8 wins and just 1 loss since the trade deadline, rapidly cutting into the Brewers' lead in the standings. At the same time, the front office and coaching staff are dealing with a structural dilemma. Manager Craig Counsell has categorically rejected the idea of moving to a 6-man starting rotation. The technical reasoning is based on bullpen math. Adding another starter would take a relief arm away from the bullpen, forcing an already overworked group, currently dealing with Daniel Palencia's inconsistency and the lack of a reliable setup man to cover more innings. That decision keeps the pressure on names like Peterson and newly acquired Cabrera, whose definitive roles in the rotation remain up in the air. You, the fan, need to understand that a 3-home-run performance is not simply a display of raw power for the fans in the stands. It immediately and profoundly changes the gravity of your lineup. When a player with Alex Bregman's championship pedigree raises his level of play like this during the final third of the season, the pressure on everyone else in the batting order simply disappears. Think about the practical effect between the lines. With pitchers choosing to pitch around Bregman, Dansby Swanson no longer has to be the focal point of the offense. He can settle into the lower part of the lineup, taking advantage of fastballs without being expected to carry the franchise on his back. On top of that, this offensive protection is what allows talents like Seiya Suzuki to find holes in the strike zone and put up numbers worthy of MVP consideration. You protect your contact hitters when you have a true force in the middle of the order. That is exactly the kind of tactical construction that is suffocating opposing pitchers and sweeping aside the competition. From an administrative and financial standpoint, Bregman's emergence as the team's offensive anchor substantially changes the front office's medium and long-term planning. When an organization commits a significant portion of its payroll to a free agent, the risk of underperformance creates direct pressure against the competitive balance tax threshold. Bregman's explosion at this critical point provides the front office with an immeasurable boost in return on investment, or ROI. More importantly, by finding elite production and internal solutions, such as Pedro Ramirez establishing himself as the designated hitter, the franchise avoids inflating its payroll with desperation additions on the waiver wire. That budget efficiency changes the Cubs' leverage in the market. It means that next offseason, the club will have enough payroll flexibility to focus its biggest resources exclusively on acquiring elite bullpen arms without the financial obligation of rebuilding the offense. Talking with my sources behind the scenes, the mood inside the organization is one of aggressive optimism, but with a yellow warning light constantly flashing in the pitching room. What I've heard from people inside the front office is that Craig Counsell's public rejection of a 6-man rotation is hiding a genuine concern about the bridge from the bullpen to the closer. I've been told that the team's data analysis staff does not trust the current group to cover the extra innings without exposing veteran arms to extreme fatigue before October. As for Cabrera, the front office's silence about his role on Sunday is not accidental. There are strong indications that the organization's decision makers are considering using him as a multi-inning secret weapon in the playoffs, attempting to internally solve the hole left behind by Rollison. They know they need a second elite reliever and are hoping that the return of players like Ben Brown or Justin Steele can fill that critical gap. In my view, the Chicago Cubs have reached a dangerous and fascinating turning point. I believe the window to win the NL Central is wide open, especially with Milwaukee currently collapsing, but the structure of our team is frighteningly unbalanced. There is no denying that going from 34 to 34 to where we are now is historic, but postseason baseball is absolutely unforgiving when it comes to flawed bullpens. Our offense is masking the holes on the mound in August, but relying on 7 runs per game is not sustainable against the Dodgers or in October. I firmly believe that keeping Peterson in the rotation with a long leash is a strategic mistake. Cabrera needs to be the starter on Sunday. The front office has to define the identity of this pitching staff right now. You win a division race by crushing your opponent when they hesitate, and to do that, we need late-game arms we can trust with our eyes closed. The schedule over the next few weeks will be the true testing ground for the front office. With a major series against the Los Angeles Dodgers approaching and 7 head-to-head matchups against the Milwaukee Brewers looming within a 10-day span, the front office will be operating at maximum alert. The expectation around the league is that the coaching staff will begin aggressively shortening the outings of starting pitchers who fail to demonstrate command in the early innings. The baseball operations department will monitor the waiver market aggressively over the next few days, actively looking for any veteran capable of providing 1 or 2 reliable setup innings. The performance over the next 4 games will determine whether the plan will be to urgently promote pitchers from the minor leagues or whether the coaching staff will double down on the current bullpen group. Now the chessboard is sitting on your table, and I want to hear your read of the game. Do you agree with the assessment that our offensive firepower is enough to carry a bullpen that still leaves so many questions heading into the World Series? If you were sitting in Craig Counsell's chair today, how would you design this rotation to face the Dodgers and Brewers? Would you immediately make Cabrera the starter on Sunday, or would you turn him into a bridge pitcher in the bullpen to cover the late innings? The path to dominating the division is clear, but your view on how these arms should be managed is what separates an ordinary fan from a strategic analyst. Head to the comments now, leave your detailed tactical analysis, and let's debate the future of this rotation. What would you do?